Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing defining the computer forensic process, section 2. I am Dr. Chanel Suggs, the Duchess of Cybersecurity, the author and instructor for this course. Today we'll be discussing real-world examples of cybercrime, video 3 for section 2. So here we have the Hillary Clinton investigation. She sent classified correspondence using her home server from 2009 to 2013. So when it came to the investigation, it was because she wasn't using the official State Department email accounts that are maintained on the secure federal servers. So within the examination by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, they found over 100 emails containing classified information on that server. 65 of those emails was noted as secret and 22 was noted as top secret. So forensic specialist was able to find out what had been sent, where, and to whom. They also investigated whether or not she violated any federal regulations regarding protection as well as disclosure of any of the government information as well as record keeping. So when you look at this overall case, this goes back to people not wanting to follow the proper protocols. Because if you look within past news articles, it was noted multiple times that there was a discussion informing her that she had to use the proper protocols to protect information, especially information that she was receiving at various levels. But in essence, she was using her personal home server in order to send out classified correspondence. So the question is, when it came to the FBI gaining an understanding of her private server, they used various collection methods when it came to forensics to allow them to be able to backtrack that email correspondence that was sent out from her private home server to other government servers. So eventually, as the investigation continued, she handed over all of the files that she had, mostly her mobile devices as well as those backup drives to assist when it came to the investigation. But out of the estimated 30,000 emails that were sent, more than over 2,000 of those actually contained classified material. So when it came to her violations, she violated federal statute 18 U.S. Code 1924 regarding unauthorized removal as well as retention of classified documents and materials, as well as the State Department protocols and procedures and regulations when it came to governing her overall record keeping. So here we have the cold case of the BTK killer. So he was a serial killer from 1974 to 1999. So within the investigation, the FBI collected 1,300 DNA samples. They also interviewed lots of people and did not find a suspect. Through countless interviews, looking at samples, analyzing the writings that was submitted to local media by the BTK as well. So after 13 years, BTK actually resumed communications when it came to the police department, started sending messages on floppy disk. So computer forensic experts was actually able to analyze this floppy disk, looking at information and recovering a Word document. So within this Word document, they began to look at the metadata that was presented in this document, which is just data about data. One of the names that was noted and modified within that file was the name Dennis and the phrase Christ Lutheran Church. So as they started conducting additional research and searching online, they found a website and a name appeared, Dennis Radar, as the president of the congregation. So once this information was revealed, police initiated a surveillance and also collected additional sample DNA sample from his daughter that proved that he was the criminal. He pled guilty in February of 2005, and he was sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences for his crimes. So this is just one of the ways in which forensics has helped to solve a past crime, by going through, gathering the appropriate evidence, reviewing all of the data, as we will discuss in multiple sections later about how to gather the data, the best ways to collect the data, and also, as I've noted in previous discussions, making sure you're ensuring the chain of custody throughout the entire process. So let's look at some other ways that computer forensics has helped to solve cases. So Matt Baker in 2010, in the year 2006, his wife had committed suicide, or at least that's what investigation had noted. But through additional research and based on a note that was left by his wife, after analyzing his computer, Matt's computer, they found a search history which noted how to overdose on sleeping pills. And he had also visited several pharmaceutical websites prior to his wife's death. So he was convicted in 2010 of her murder. So here we have Crenard Lasher. In 2009, after investigating his laptop, appeared he had downloaded a manual of 4,300 GMs to make explosives, as well as search belts. So after a search of his apartment, they recovered 71.8 of petrol, potassium nitrate, as well as a live shotgun. So this is how they helped to stop a terrorist, just by doing searches on his systems. So next we have Dr. Conroy. So he had an issue of over-medicating his patients, and one of the patients he over-medicated was Michael Jackson. He was giving his patients lethal dosages of Propofol, in which this is what actually killed Michael Jackson. It only took the jury 8 hours to convict him. So when you're looking at forensics, you need to think about digital forensics, such as looking at your digital terrorism. Understanding network systems, the initiation, understanding the risk of digital warfare attacks. Because digital forensics is going to be essential, especially when it comes to our military infrastructures, gathering evidence for attacks as well as attempted attacks to restore the functionality, so ensuring sustainability after an attack. Making sure that you understand the memory and storage when it comes to the media within systems, the various parts of the software as well as the vectors when it comes to residing to feed the attack further, making sure that you found the connections between those areas whenever you're conducting forensics, and making sure you have the proper timeline. Looking at network forensics, which we will be discussing in part 2, understanding the different vectors when it comes to the networks, as well as analyzing that traffic to determine the data aftermath of an attack, identifying what are those trends when it comes to attacks, as well as malware, protocol dissection within network forensics. Understanding how to analyze these protocols, beginning from the application layer, for example, all the way down to encapsulation. Looking at mobile forensics and the internal memory, looking at the SIM cards. What about those cell towers and the network servers? Because you have to think about the data that is on these mobile phones, the personal information. It's going to be crucial when it comes to conducting an investigation. Looking at embedded systems, for example, such as, thinking about embedded systems, they're widely used when it comes to industrial automation as well as IT infrastructures. So analyzing the software to replicate proprietary environments, understanding malware analysis, being able to reverse engineer to reconstruct the behavior as well as the modus operandi, which we'll be discussing later, when it comes to collecting the pieces of the attribution. So understanding the various techniques when it comes to being a forensics examiner is going to be very important within your career. This concludes this section on real-world examples of cybercrimes. Within this section, we discussed the Hillary Clinton investigation. We also went over the BTK code case as well as a few other forensic cases. Up next, we're going to be discussing representation of data, section 3.